The bridge of the UNS Horizon's edge hummed with the quiet sounds of a ship on routine patrol. Captain Taesung sat in his command chair, reviewing supply reports on his datapad. 3 years of deep space patrol had taught him that space was mostly empty and boring. His crew of 30 had grown comfortable with the monotony. They checked sensors, ran maintenance, and counted the days until their rotation back to Earth. Hanul sat at the communications station, half listening to the endless static of empty space. She had been doing this job for 2 years now. Most days, nothing happened. She scrolled through her messages from home, smiling at pictures her sister had sent of her new baby. Then something changed. A pattern emerged from the noise. She sat up straight, her fingers flying across her console. The pattern repeated every 47 seconds. It was not random. It was not natural. Someone was broadcasting, and they were using mathematics to do it. Prime numbers, sequences, basic geometry. The universal language that any intelligent species should understand. "Captain," Hanul said, her voice cutting through the quiet bridge. "I have something strange here." Taesung looked up from his reports. "Define strange. A signal. Repeating pattern. Definitely artificial. It is coming from the Sigma 7 system, about 3 days away at maximum speed." She transferred the data to his station. "Sir, I think it is a distress call." The captain studied the signal. His heart rate increased slightly. In 3 years of patrol, they had never encountered anything like this. Humanity had been exploring space for decades now, but they had never found another intelligent species, until maybe now. "Wake up the senior staff," he said quietly. "Meeting in the conference room in 10 minutes. Within 15 minutes, his core team sat around the small conference table. Chief Engineer Bora looked tired. She had been working a double shift in the engine room. Weapons Officer Kyung-ho seemed alert and interested. Science Officer Ji-woo already had her data pad out, analyzing the signal. Medical Officer Sun-hee completed the group, looking confused about why she had been called. Taesung played the signal for them. The repeating pattern filled the room. "Hanul discovered this 20 minutes ago. Ji-woo, what can you tell us?" Ji-woo worked her data pad for a moment. "It is definitely artificial, definitely intelligent. The signal uses mathematical concepts to convey meaning. I have been running it through our translation algorithms. So far, I have extracted coordinates, energy signatures, and one concept that keeps repeating." She paused. "The closest translation I can give you is extinction or ending or death. Whatever is sending this signal is in serious trouble." "How far?" Taesung asked. 3 days at maximum velocity," Bora replied. "We can do it, but we will burn through a lot of fuel. We would need to refuel before returning to our patrol route." Kyung-ho leaned forward. "Captain, first contact protocols are clear. We are supposed to report any potential alien contact and wait for diplomatic teams. We are a patrol ship, not a diplomatic vessel." "True," Taesung said. "But those protocols assume we have time. This is a distress call. If we wait for Earth to send a diplomatic team, it could take weeks. Whatever is out there might be dead by then." Sun-hee spoke up. "Do we even know if they are friendly? What if this is a trap?" "Possible," Ji-woo admitted. "But the energy signatures suggest weapons fire. Multiple sources. This looks like a battle, not a trap. Someone is fighting for their life out there." Taesung stood and walked to the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly before them. Somewhere out there, someone was dying. Someone had sent a message into the void, hoping anyone would hear, anyone would care, anyone would come. He thought about his training at the academy. They had drilled first contact protocols into every officer. Be careful. Be diplomatic. Do not take risks. Wait for proper authorization. But they had also taught him something else. They had taught him about the history of Earth, about how humans had survived on a world that tried to kill them every single day, about how humans had learned to help each other because that was the only way to survive. "Bora, how fast can you get us there?" he asked. The engineer did not hesitate. 2.5 days if I push the engines hard. "But regulations say—" "I know what regulations say." "Can you do it safely?" "Yes, sir. It will not be comfortable, but it will be safe." Taesung turned back to his team. "Here is my decision. We go, we investigate. I will send a full report to Earth Command right now, but we are not waiting for permission. If someone is out there dying, we have a moral obligation to help. That is what humans do. That is what we have always done." Kyung-ho nodded slowly. "If it is a fight, we are not exactly equipped for major combat. We have weapons, but we are a patrol ship. Then we will be creative, Taesung said. Kyung-ho, I want combat drills every 6 hours. Push the crew hard. Bora, squeeze every bit of speed you can from those engines. Jiwoo, keep working on that signal. Learn everything you can. Sun-hee, prepare the medical bay for potential casualties. I want us ready for anything. The team dispersed to their duties. Taesung sat down at the communication terminal and began composing his report to Earth Command. He explained the situation clearly and honestly. He knew he was breaking protocol. He might face a court-martial when they returned. But he also knew he could not live with himself if he ignored a distress call. He sent the message and returned to the bridge. Hanul, keep monitoring that signal. Let me know if anything changes. Helm, set course for Sigma 7 maximum speed. The ship turned and accelerated. The crew felt the increased G-forces as the engines pushed harder than normal. It was uncomfortable but manageable. Humans could tolerate forces that would injure or kill many other Earth species. Their bodies had evolved on a high-gravity world with dangerous weather and predators everywhere. They were built tough. Over the next 2 days, the ship hummed with activity. Kyung-ho ran his combat drills mercilessly. The weapons teams practiced targeting solutions until they could do them in their sleep. Bora and her engineers performed maintenance on every system, ensuring everything would work perfectly when needed. Jiwoo continued analyzing the signal, slowly building a basic understanding of the alien language. Sun-hee prepared the medical bay. She stocked supplies and reviewed trauma procedures. She hoped she would not need them, but she had learned long ago that hope was not a plan. She would be ready. Taesung spent the time reviewing everything humans knew about space combat. It was not much. Humanity had fought many wars on Earth, but space battles were theoretical. They had weapons designed to fight other human ships or destroy dangerous asteroids. They had tactics based on simulations and guesses, but they had never actually fought aliens before. On the morning of the 3rd day, Jiwoo came to the bridge with new information. Captain, I have decoded more of the signal. It is definitely a distress call. The species calls themselves something that translates roughly as the Velen. They are under attack by another species. They are requesting help from anyone who can hear them. They have been broadcasting for 6 days now. 6 days, Taesung repeated quietly. How much longer can they hold out? Unknown, sir. But the signal is getting weaker. Either their power is failing, or there are fewer of them left to broadcast. How far now? 4 hours at current speed, Bora reported from engineering. Taesung activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In 4 hours, we will reach the source of the alien signal. We do not know what we will find there. We do not know if we will fight. But I know this crew. I know each of you. We are ready. Whatever happens, we face it together. Humanity has survived everything Earth threw at us for millions of years. We will survive this too. And maybe, just maybe, we will help someone else survive as well. Stay sharp. Stay focused. Captain out. He closed the channel and looked at his crew. They looked back at him with determination. They were scared. That was natural. But they were also ready. They were human. Fear had never stopped humans before. The horizon's edge dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sigma 7 system. What appeared on the view screen made the entire bridge crew fall silent. Debris. Everywhere. Pieces of ships tumbled through space in vast clouds that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Some pieces were tiny fragments. Others were huge sections of hull, still glowing from whatever had destroyed them. Taesung had seen images of shipwrecks before, but never anything like this. This was not a battle. This was a massacre. Sensor sweep, he ordered, his voice tight. Find me the source of that signal. Jiwoo worked her console frantically. I have multiple contacts. Energy signatures consistent with active weapons fire. Distance 400,000 kilometers. Captain, there are ships still fighting out there. On screen. Maximum magnification. The view screen shifted, zooming in on the heart of the battle. 3 large ships hung in space, their hulls scarred and burning. They were beautiful despite the damage, with smooth organic curves and what looked like grown rather than built structures. These had to be the Velen ships. They moved slowly, almost gracefully, firing weapons that looked like pulses of blue energy. Surrounding them was a swarm of smaller vessels. At least 60 ships, maybe more. These were angular and aggressive, all sharp edges and brutal efficiency. They fired red beams that cut through space like knives. The Velen ships were being overwhelmed. their shields flickering and failing under the constant assault. Analysis, Taesung demanded. Jiwoo pulled up data on her screen. The larger ships match the origin point of the distress signal. Those must be the Velen. The attacking ships are unknown. Different design philosophy, different technology, different tactics. They are using numerical superiority to wear down the defenders. Life signs. I am reading thousands of life forms on each Velen ship. The attackers have smaller crews, maybe 100 per ship. Captain, if this keeps going, the Velen will be extinct within hours. Their shields are almost gone. Kyung-ho studied the tactical display. Sir, we are not built for this kind of fight. We have weapons, but we are one ship against 60. Those are bad odds even for humans. Bora spoke from the engineering station. Our weapons are designed to destroy asteroids and debris. They are kinetic weapons, railguns that fire solid projectiles at extreme velocity. They will punch through ship hulls easily. But we only have so much ammunition. Taesung watched the battle unfold. The Velen were losing. One of their ships had stopped firing entirely, dead in space with huge holes torn in its hull. The other two tried to protect it, but they were failing. The attacking ships circled like predators around wounded prey. He thought about the distress call. 6 days of broadcasting into the void begging for help. 6 days of fighting alone while hoping someone would hear, someone would care, someone would come. And now someone had come. Now humanity had arrived. But what could one ship do against 60? The smart decision was to record everything, send the data to Earth, and leave. That was the safe choice. That was the logical choice. But Taesung had not traveled 3 days across space to watch people die. Bora, he said quietly, what is the maximum G-force this ship can pull? The engineer understood immediately. Standard maximum is 8 Gs, but this is a human ship. We can push higher. 12 Gs sustained, maybe 15 for short bursts. It will be extremely uncomfortable, but we can handle it. And the aliens? Jiwoo checked her biological scans. The Velen appear to be low-gravity species. Maybe 0.7 Earth gravity. The attacking species similar. Captain, if we accelerate at human combat speeds, the G-forces alone would probably kill them. That gives us an advantage, Kyung-ho said slowly, understanding dawning on his face. We can move faster than they can. We can maneuver in ways they cannot match. We can be somewhere they do not expect, hit them and be gone before they can respond. Taesung nodded. Exactly. We fight like humans have always fought. We use our strengths against their weaknesses. We are persistence hunters from a death world. Let us show these aliens what that means. He activated the ship-wide communication. All hands combat stations. Secure everything. We are going in. This will be rough, but I know you can handle it. We are human. We do not leave people to die. Engineering, give me everything the engines have. Weapons, prepare all railguns. Medical, stand by for potential casualties. This is what we trained for. Let us make Earth proud. The crew responded immediately. Within seconds, every station reported ready. Sun-hee strapped herself into the medical bay, ensuring all equipment was secured. Bora diverted maximum power to engines and weapons. Kyung-ho armed every weapon system they had. Helm, Taesung ordered. Attack vector. Get us into that fight. Maximum acceleration. The horizon's edge leaped forward like a hunting animal spotting prey. The engines roared, pushing the ship to speeds that would have been impossible for the alien vessels. The crew felt the G-forces pressing them into their seats. It was uncomfortable, but every human on board had trained for this. Their bodies could handle it. They covered the distance in minutes. The alien attackers did not even notice them at first. They were too focused on finishing off the Velen. That was their mistake. Target the nearest enemy ship, Taesung commanded. Railguns fire when ready. Kyung-ho designated a target and fired. 3 railgun projectiles launched simultaneously. Simple metal slugs accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. They crossed the distance in less than a second. The enemy ship never knew what hit it. The projectiles punched through the hull like it was paper. The first round destroyed the engine. The second shattered the main structure. The third hit something that exploded, and the entire ship came apart in a ball of flame and debris. The attacking fleet finally noticed the newcomer. Ships began turning, trying to orient on this new threat, but they moved so slowly compared to the human vessel. The horizon's edge was already accelerating past them, firing at another target. 2 more enemy ships died in the next minute. The human railguns were devastatingly effective. Each shot carried so much kinetic energy that shields meant nothing. The projectiles just punched through and destroyed whatever was behind them. The enemy fleet began to panic. They fired their red beams at the human ship, but it was too fast. By the time they aimed and fired, the horizon's edge was somewhere else. Taesung used the debris field for cover, emerging to strike before disappearing again. It was guerrilla warfare, human style. They are trying to surround us, Kyung-ho reported, forming a sphere pattern. Let them try, Taesung said grimly. He pushed the ship into a maneuver that would have killed any alien crew. The horizon's edge spun and dove, pulling 13 Gs in a turn that defied what the enemy thought was possible. 3 more enemy ships died as the human vessel emerged from the debris cloud and fired point-blank into their formation. The Velin, still fighting despite their damage, seemed to understand they had an ally. Their blue energy weapons began targeting the same ships the humans attacked. The coordination was not perfect, but it was effective. The enemy fleet started to break apart, ships retreating in confusion. Captain, enemy ships are withdrawing, Jiwoo reported. They are regrouping at the edge of the system. Taesung checked his tactical display. They had destroyed 12 enemy ships. Not bad for a patrol vessel in its first real combat. But there were still over 40 enemy vessels out there, and they would be back. Helm, bring us alongside the largest Velin ship. Slow approach. We do not want them to think we are hostile. The horizon's edge moved carefully toward the damaged Velin vessel. Up close, it was even more impressive. The ship was massive, maybe 3 times the size of the human vessel. Its organic-looking hull was scarred with weapons impacts, but it was still flying. Hanul, try to establish communication. Use the same mathematical patterns from their distress call. The communications officer worked quickly. After a few tense minutes, she looked up. Captain, they are responding. I'm establishing a basic translation protocol. It will be rough, but we should be able to communicate simple concepts. A face appeared on the view screen. The being was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It had smooth, luminescent skin that shifted colors slowly. 4 large eyes were arranged around its head, giving it nearly complete vision. It had no mouth that Taesung could see, but somehow it was communicating. Jiwoo's translation software struggled with the language, but words began to appear on the screen. You came. We broadcast for 6 days. We thought no one would hear. No one would care. But you came. You fought for us. Why? Taesung stood facing the alien. Because you asked for help. Because we are human. We do not leave people to die. The alien's colors shifted in patterns that might have been emotion. Human, we do not know this word. What are you? We are from a planet called Earth. We received your distress call 3 days ago. We came as fast as we could. 3 days, the alien repeated. You traveled for 3 days to help strangers. We are Velin. I am Eldermind Pelanor. We are grateful, but you should not have come. The Krathul will return. They will destroy you as they have destroyed us. The Krathul are the ones attacking you? Yes, they have hunted my people across 3 systems. We are all that remains. 50,000 souls on 3 ships. When they return? The conference room of the horizon's edge had never held an alien before. Eldermind Pelanor appeared on the holographic display, a shimmering 3-dimensional image that showed every detail of the Velin leader. The being's skin continued its slow color shifts, patterns that Jiwoo was beginning to recognize as expressions of emotion. Around the table sat Taesung's senior staff. They all stared at their first alien with a mixture of wonder and concern. History was being made in the small room, and everyone knew it. Eldermind Pelanor, Taesung began. Tell us about your people. Help us understand what is happening here. The alien's colors shifted to darker tones. Sadness, Jiwoo noted on her datapad. The Velin are an old species. We have traveled the stars for 5,000 of your years. We are not warriors. We are scholars, artists, preservers of knowledge. We built great libraries on 12 worlds. We studied the universe and celebrated its beauty. What happened? Son, he asked gently. The Krathul found us. They are a young species, aggressive and territorial. They see other intelligent life as threats to be eliminated or resources to be exploited. They attacked our worlds without warning, without negotiation. We tried to communicate, to make peace. They responded with violence. Pelanor's image seemed to dim slightly. We are not fighters. Our ships were built for exploration and research, not war. We tried to defend ourselves, but we are not good at it. World after world fell. We fled with whatever we could save. These 3 ships are all that remains of the Velin civilization. 50,000 individuals out of billions. The room fell silent. The weight of that loss was impossible to fully comprehend. An entire civilization reduced to 3 damaged ships and a handful of survivors. Bora spoke up. Why did the Krathel stop chasing you? Why give you time to send a distress call? They did not give us time. We fought them constantly. But 6 days ago, we damaged their command ship. They retreated to repair and gather reinforcements. We knew they would return, so we began broadcasting. We hoped anyone would hear us. We did not truly believe anyone would come. But we did, Taesung said firmly. And we are not leaving. But I need to understand our enemy. Tell me about the Krathel. How do they fight? Another Velin appeared in the hologram, standing beside Pelanor. This one was slightly smaller with different color patterns. I am Weaver Lineth, Science Officer of the Harmonious Dawn. I have studied the Krathel extensively. They are from a low-gravity world, approximately 0.6 of your Earth standard. Their bodies are fragile by your standards. Their ships are fast but lightly armored. They rely on numerical superiority and aggressive tactics. Jiwoo leaned forward. What about their weapons? Energy beams very powerful. They can cut through our shields with sustained fire, but their targeting systems are simple. They overwhelm defenses with volume of fire rather than precision. Kyung-ho was taking notes. How do they handle high-speed maneuvers? They do not, Lineth replied. The Krathel cannot tolerate significant acceleration forces. More than 3 or 4 of your gravities would injure them severely. Their ships are built around this limitation. Taesung and Kyung-ho exchanged glances. That was a crucial weakness. The human ship could pull 12 Gs or more. The Krathel would be fighting with one hand tied behind their backs. What about their numbers? Taesung asked. How many ships will they bring? Pelanor's colors darkened again. We estimate they have at least 100 vessels in this region of space. They will bring as many as they think necessary to finish us. Based on your intervention, I would expect them to return with at least 80 ships, possibly more. 80 ships. Bora shook her head. Captain, even with our maneuverability advantage, those odds are impossible. We would run out of ammunition long before we destroyed them all. Then we do not fight them alone, Taesung said. He turned to Pelanor. Elder Mind, I am going to request military support from Earth. But it will take time for ships to arrive. We need to survive until they get here. Can your people help us set up defenses? We have advanced sensor technology and shield systems, Lineth offered. Our weapons are not as powerful as yours, but we can provide support. What do you need? Over the next hour, they planned. Jiwoo and Lineth worked together on sensor networks that could detect Krathel ships at maximum range. Bora coordinated with Velin engineers to place improvised mines throughout the debris field. Kyung-ho trained a small group of Velin in basic tactical concepts, though their physiology made them poor warriors. The cooperation between human and Velin revealed interesting differences. The Velin thought in terms of elegant solutions and minimal force. The humans thought in terms of brutal efficiency and overwhelming violence. Together, they created something neither could have managed alone. Taesung recorded a message to Earth Command. He explained everything. The Velin refugees, the Krathel threat, the coming battle. He formally requested military support. Then he added a personal note. I know I broke protocol by coming here. I know I may face consequences for that decision. But I do not regret it. The Velin are good people who did nothing to deserve extinction. If humanity is going to be part of the larger galaxy, this is how we should announce ourselves. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. Not as threats, but as allies. I am requesting immediate military support. Send everything we have. These people deserve to survive, and I intend to make sure they do. Captain Taesung signing off. He sent the message and waited. Earth was weeks away at normal communication speeds, but humanity had developed faster than light communication relays. The response came in 6 hours. Admiral Hee-jin appeared on the screen. She was a stern woman in her 50s with gray hair and hard eyes. She had commanded the Earth Defense Fleet for 10 years. Her face was unreadable as she began speaking. Captain Taesung, I have reviewed your report and your request. I have also reviewed your decision to intervene without authorization. Under normal circumstances, I would be preparing court-martial proceedings right now. However, these are not normal circumstances. She paused, and something that might have been a smile crossed her face. You did the right thing, Captain. You represented humanity exactly as we should be represented. Your request for military support is approved. I am activating the Terran Defense Initiative. We are sending you a full battle fleet, 12 warships, 3 carriers, and 2 hospital ships. We will arrive at your location in 48 hours. Tae-sung felt relief wash over him. 48 hours. They just had to survive for 48 hours. Captain, the Admiral continued, you started something important today. First contact with an alien species, and we did it by answering a distress call. The politicians and diplomats will have a lot to say about this, but right now, the military needs to do what the military does. We need to save lives. Hold that position, Captain. Help is coming. The message ended. Tae-sung looked around at his crew. They were smiling despite the danger they faced. Humanity was coming. The full might of Earth's military was being sent to help strangers they had never met. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. He returned to the bridge and opened a channel to Pelennor. Eldermind, I have good news. Earth is sending a fleet, 17 ships heavily armed. They will arrive in 48 hours. The Velen leader's colors brightened significantly. Joy, Jiwoo noted. You are sending your entire military force for us? Not our entire force, Tae-sung admitted. But enough. More than enough. We just need to survive until they arrive. 48 hours, Pelennor repeated. The Krathul will return before then. They will see your defenses and bring overwhelming force. Can you truly hold them off? Tae-sung looked at his crew. Hanul at communications, keeping watch for any sign of the enemy. Jiwoo coordinating with the Velen scientists. Bora pushing the engines and weapons beyond their designed limits. Hyung-ho running combat simulations endlessly. Sun-hee preparing to save lives. They were just one small ship, one small crew. But they were human. And humans did not quit, yes, he said simply. We can hold. Over the next hours, the combined human-Velen force prepared. The debris field became a maze of sensors and mines. Hyung-ho identified choke points where enemy ships would be forced to slow down. Bora ensured every weapon system was functioning perfectly. The Velen ships moved into defensive positions, their shields interlocking to create a protective sphere around the most damaged vessel. 18 hours after the first battle, the sensors detected incoming ships. Lots of ships. Jiwoo's face went pale as she counted them. Captain, I have contacts. Multiple contacts. I count 94 Krathul vessels inbound. Estimated arrival time 45 minutes. 94 ships. Against 1 human patrol vessel and 3 damaged Velen ships. The odds were absurd. Impossible. Suicidal. Tae-sung activated the ship-wide communication system one more time. All hands, the enemy is coming. They outnumber us badly. They probably think this will be easy. They think we will run or surrender. But they are wrong. They do not know humans. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know that we come from a world where everything tried to kill us and we survived anyway. They do not know that we never ever give up. So let us teach them. Let us show them what happens when you threaten people under human protection. Battle stations. The Krathul fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a perfect formation. 94 warships arranged in 3 concentric spheres, a display of military precision designed to intimidate. Their hulls were dark and angular, covered in weapon ports that glowed with threatening red light. The largest ship, a massive dreadnought 3 times the size of the Horizon's Edge, moved to the front of the formation. A communication channel opened without permission, forcing itself onto every screen in the system. The being that appeared was clearly Krathul. It stood on 4 legs with a long segmented body and multiple arms ending in sharp claws. Its face had too many eyes and a mouth full of teeth designed for tearing meat. When it spoke, the translation software rendered its words in cold, precise tones. I am War Master Tekulan of the Krathul Empire. This system belongs to us now. The Velen are our prey. We will finish what we started. Unknown vessel, you have interfered in Krathul business. You have destroyed our ships. For this crime, you will be given 1 chance to surrender. Give us the Velen, and we will allow you to leave. Refuse, and we will destroy you all. Tae-sung stood on his bridge looking at the alien War Master. He thought about responding with diplomacy, with reasoned arguments. Then he thought about the 50,000 Velen refugees, the last survivors of an ancient civilization. He thought about 6 days of desperate broadcasting, hoping someone would care enough to help. He thought about what it meant to be human. No, he said simply. Tekulan's eyes widened slightly. You refuse. 1 ship against our fleet. You are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Maybe both. Taesung replied. But here is what you need to understand. Those villain are under human protection now. If you want them, you have to go through us. And I promise you, that will cost you more than you are willing to pay. The War Master made a sound that might have been laughter. Admirable courage. Pointless, but admirable. Very well. You will die with them. The communication cut off. Kyung-ho checked his tactical display. They are splitting into 3 groups. Flanking maneuvers. They plan to attack from multiple directions simultaneously. Expected, Taesung said calmly. Let them come to us. We fight on our terms, not theirs. The Krathel fleet began its approach, moving with careful coordination. They had learned from the first battle. They were not rushing in carelessly. They were treating the human ship as a serious threat. The first group entered the debris field. Immediately, the mines that Bora had placed began detonating. Explosions ripped through the Krathel formation. 3 ships died in the first seconds, torn apart by carefully positioned charges. The rest scattered, their formation breaking. First blood, Kyung-ho said with satisfaction. But they are adapting quickly. See how they are spreading out? The Krathel ships began moving more cautiously, using sensors to detect mines before triggering them. It slowed their advance, but it kept them alive. The second and third groups learned from the first, taking even more careful routes through the debris. Velen sensors are tracking all enemy vessels, Jiwoo reported. Lineth is feeding targeting data directly to our weapon systems. We have perfect information on their positions. Good, Taesung said. Helm, bring us about. Attack pattern Delta 7. Let us hit them before they reach firing range. The horizon's edge surged forward, accelerating at speeds the Krathul could not match. The human ship dove into the debris field like a predator, using the wreckage for cover. Kyung-ho had firing solutions ready before they even cleared the debris. 3 railgun rounds fired simultaneously. 3 Krathul ships died. The human vessel was already moving before the enemy could respond, emerging at a different position to fire again. It was hit-and-run warfare using superior speed and maneuverability to offset impossible odds. The Krathul adapted. They stopped trying to track the human ship and instead saturated entire areas with weapons fire. Red energy beams crisscrossed space, turning it into a deadly web. The horizon's edge could not dodge everything. An energy beam caught the ship's port side. Shields absorbed most of the impact, but some energy bled through. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Hull breach deck 3, Bora shouted from engineering. Emergency bulkheads holding. Minor damage to secondary systems. Keep us moving, Taesung ordered. Do not give them a stationary target. The battle fell into a rhythm. The horizon's edge would strike from unexpected angles, destroy 1 or 2 ships, then vanish back into the debris field before the enemy could concentrate fire. The Valine ships provided crucial support, their sensors tracking every Krathul vessel and their shields protecting the human ship when it needed to retreat. But there were too many enemies. For every Krathul ship destroyed, 3 more pressed forward. Slowly, inevitably, the defensive perimeter began to shrink. An explosion rocked the ship. This hit was worse than the first. Taesung was thrown from his chair. Emergency lighting kicked in as main power flickered. Direct hit to engineering, someone shouted. We have casualties. Sunhee's voice came over the communication system. Medical team responding. Captain, it is bad down here. Taesung pulled himself up. Bora, report. There was a pause. Then a different voice responded. This is Dae-hyun, assistant engineer. Chief Bora is injured. She is alive but unconscious. I am taking over engineering operations. Taesung felt his stomach drop. Bora was one of his best officers, and more than that, she was a friend. Get her to medical immediately. Can you keep us flying? Yes, sir, Dae-hyun replied, his voice shaking slightly but determined. The engines are still good. I can keep us in the fight. Do it. All power to weapons and engines. Divert everything non-essential. The battle continued. Minutes stretched into hours. The horizon's edge was taking damage faster than Dae-hyun could repair it. The Valine shields were failing under constant bombardment. The Krathul were winning through sheer attrition. Kyung-ho checked his ammunition count. Captain, we are down to 40% on railgun rounds. At current engagement rate, we have maybe 2 hours before we are empty. Taesung looked at the tactical display. They had destroyed 19 Krathul ships. An impressive number for a single patrol vessel. But 75 enemy ships remained, and the human vessel was barely holding together. Time until the fleet arrives? He asked. 26 hours, Jiwoo replied quietly. 26 hours. They would never last that long. Taesung knew it. His crew knew it. Probably the Krathul knew it too. But they had to try. They had to hold. A proximity alarm screamed. 5 Krathul ships had broken through the defense perimeter and were heading straight for the damaged Velen vessel. If they reached it, 50,000 refugees would die. Intercept course, Taesung ordered. Maximum acceleration. The horizon's edge leaped forward, pushing 14 Gs in a desperate sprint. The crew grunted under the pressure, but they held on. Humans could take it. The ship crossed the distance in seconds and opened fire point blank into the Krathul formation. 2 enemy ships exploded immediately. A third lost its engines and tumbled away, but the last 2 returned fire, and at this range even human shields could not absorb everything. Energy beams tore into the horizon's edge. Systems overloaded and failed. Half the bridge consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Hanul screamed as her station erupted in flame. Sunhee's medical team would find her body later, dead at her post. Hanul is down, someone shouted. We have lost communications. Taesung felt rage building inside him. His crew was dying. His ship was dying. But they had stopped the attack on the Velen. They had bought more time. Daehyun, damage report. The young engineer's voice was barely audible over the alarms. Main power at 30%. Port engines offline. Weapon systems failing. Sir, we cannot take another hit like that. Taesung looked at his tactical display. The Krathul were regrouping, preparing for a final overwhelming assault. They could see the human ship was crippled. They were moving in for the kill. He opened a channel to Pellinor. Eldermind, it has been an honor fighting beside you. I am sorry we could not hold them longer. The Velen's colors were dim, exhausted. You have nothing to apologize for, Captain. You gave us hope. You showed us that we were not alone in the universe. We will remember humanity with our last thoughts. Not yet, Taesung said grimly. He looked at Kyung-ho. Give me every weapon we have left, everything. I want one final attack that they will never forget. Kyung-ho understood. Sir, if we fire everything at once, the power surge will probably destroy our weapon systems. We will be defenseless after. Then we better make it count. Target their command ship. I want that dreadnought gone. The weapons officer began programming the attack. Every railgun, every missile, every bit of ordnance the horizon's edge still possessed. It would be their last strike. Taesung was about to give the order when Jiwoo suddenly shouted, Captain, new contacts. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. Krathul reinforcements? He asked bitterly. Jiwoo stared at her sensors in disbelief. No, sir, I am reading human transponder codes. It is the fleet. They are early. The tactical display updated, and Taesung felt his heart leap. 17 ships had just arrived. No, more than that. He counted again. 20 ships. Earth had sent more than promised. At the front of the formation was the dreadnought Indomitable Will, Admiral Hyejin's flagship. The Terran defense fleet hung in space like a wall of steel and determination. 20 warships in perfect formation, each one a masterpiece of human engineering and military power. At their center, the Indomitable Will dominated the battlefield, its weapons systems locked onto the Krathul command ship. Admiral Hyejin stood on her bridge, surrounded by the best crew Earth could provide. She had been preparing for first contact with hostile aliens for her entire career. She had run simulations, studied theoretical scenarios, and drilled her forces endlessly, but nothing truly prepared you for the moment when it became real. Time, she said calmly. Krathul have not responded to our demands, her communications officer reported. 60 seconds elapsed. On the tactical display, the Krathul fleet was repositioning. They were abandoning their attack on the damaged human patrol ship and forming up to face the new arrivals. 75 warships against 20. The Krathul clearly believed they still had the advantage. Their commander is either very brave or very stupid, her weapons officer commented. Both, probably, Hyejin replied. She opened a direct channel to War Master Tekulan. This is your final warning. Surrender now or we will destroy you. The Krathul commander appeared on screen. His multiple eyes blazed with fury. You think your larger ships frighten us? We are Krathul. We have conquered a dozen species. We will add humanity to that list. Your mistake, Hyejin said simply. She cut the channel and looked at her weapons officer. Open fire. Target their command ship first. The Indomitable Will fired. Not just one weapon, but a coordinated barrage of railguns, missiles, and energy weapons. The dreadnought had been designed to fight other human vessels in theoretical future conflicts. Its weapons could crack planets if needed. Against the Krathul dreadnought, they were overwhelming. The enemy ship's shields lasted less than 3 seconds. Then the hull began to break apart under the relentless assault. Secondary explosions rippled through the vessel as internal systems overloaded. Within 30 seconds, the Krathul command ship was the expanding cloud of debris. Warmaster Tek Gulan died without saying another word. The rest of the Terran fleet engaged simultaneously. The carriers Endurance and Defiance launched squadrons of fighters. The smaller combat vessels were faster and more maneuverable than the Krathul ships, flown by pilots who could tolerate G-forces the aliens could only imagine. They tore through the enemy formation like sharks in a feeding frenzy. The Krathul tried to fight back. They fired their red energy beams, launched missiles, attempted ramming maneuvers. Nothing worked. The human ships were too fast, too well armored, too ruthlessly efficient. Every tactic the Krathul tried had been anticipated and countered. This was not a battle. It was an execution. Within 10 minutes, half the Krathul fleet was destroyed. The survivors began breaking formation, ships scattering in every direction as their command structure collapsed. Some tried to flee. Others fought on in isolated groups. A few attempted to surrender. "Pursue the fleeing vessels," Admiral Haijin ordered, "but do not destroy them unless they continue to fight. I want them disabled and boarded. We need prisoners for intelligence." Her fleet moved with perfect coordination. The human ships were faster than the Krathul vessels, even at maximum acceleration. There was nowhere for the aliens to run. One by one, enemy ships were disabled by precise weapons fire that destroyed engines but left the crews alive. 30 minutes after the battle began, it was over. 75 Krathul warships had been reduced to 12 survivors, all disabled and drifting. The rest were wreckage spreading through the system. Admiral Haijin took a moment to process what had just happened. Humanity's first large-scale space battle, first contact with hostile aliens, complete and total victory. The implications would echo for generations. "Secure the prisoners," she ordered. "Medical teams to all disabled vessels. I want any survivors treated humanely and by the rules of war." She paused. "And someone get me a communication line to Captain Tae-sung. I want to check on our people." The battered Horizon's Edge hung in space, held together by emergency repairs and sheer stubbornness. The damage was extensive. The hull was scorched and torn. Half the ship's systems were offline. The crew was exhausted and wounded, but they were alive. They had survived. Tae-sung sat in his command chair, still processing everything that had happened. Hanul's station stood empty, a reminder of the cost of their victory. Others had been injured, including Bora, who was still in medical bay. But they had held. They had bought enough time. Admiral Haijin's face appeared on the one functional screen. "Captain Tae-sung, report." He straightened up as much as his exhausted body would allow. "Admiral, the Horizon's Edge is heavily damaged but operational. We have casualties, including one confirmed death and multiple serious injuries. The Valen refugees are secure." "You did good work here, Captain," Haijin said, and there was genuine respect in her voice. "Holding off a fleet that size with a single patrol ship. That will be in the history books." "We had help," Tae-sung replied. "The Velen fought beside us. They deserve credit too. They will get it. I have medical ships on the way to assist their wounded. We are also bringing in support vessels to repair their ships. They are under human protection now, Captain. No one will hurt them again." A new face appeared on the screen beside the Admiral. It was Eldermind Pellinor, looking healthier than Tae-sung had seen them before. The Veline's colors were bright and active. "Captain Tae-sung," Pellinor said, "my people and I owe you our lives. You answered our distress call when you could have ignored it. You fought for us when you could have fled. You held the line when any reasonable being would have surrendered. We will never forget this." Tae-sung felt emotion welling up but pushed it down. "You needed help, Eldermind. That is what humans do. We help." Over the next days, the system transformed from a battlefield into a rescue operation. Human medical teams worked tirelessly to save wounded Velen. Engineers repaired the damaged refugee ships, improving them with human technology in the process. The two species began the slow process of learning about each other. The cultural exchange was fascinating. The Velen were amazed by human resilience and military capability. They had never encountered a species from such a harsh world. Earth's history of constant warfare, natural disasters, and evolutionary pressure had created beings unlike anything in their experience. Humans were equally impressed by the Velen. Their scientific knowledge was centuries ahead of humanity in many fields. Their art and philosophy were profound and beautiful. They represented what humanity might become if they ever outgrew their violent nature. Jiwoo and Lineth became close collaborators, sharing knowledge eagerly. The Velen scientists taught Jiwoo about their advanced sensor technology and shield systems. Jiwoo explained human combat tactics and showed Lineth why Deathworld species were so dangerous in warfare. Bo-Ra recovered from her injuries after 3 days in medical bay. Her first act upon waking was to demand a full engineering report. Her second was to start planning upgrades to the Horizon's Edge using Velen technology. Sun-Hee had to physically restrain her from leaving the medical bay too soon. But the events in the Sigma-7 system had consequences far beyond that single solar system. News of humanity's intervention spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. Other species learned that a new civilization had emerged, one willing and able to fight for strangers. The Galactic Council, an organization of peaceful species that humanity had not known existed, sent a delegation. They arrived in a beautiful ship that looked more like a work of art than a military vessel. Their representative was a being from a species called the Morvain, tall and graceful with skin like living crystal. Admiral He-Jin met with them aboard the Indomitable Will. Captain Tae-sung attended via hologram, as did Elder Mind Pellinor, the Morvain representative, whose name translated roughly as Harmony Speaker, addressed them with obvious concern. "We have been watching your species for some time, humans. We knew you existed, but we were waiting to see what kind of civilization you would become. This incident has forced us to make contact earlier than planned." "Why?" He-Jin asked bluntly. "What made you wait?" "Because you are from a death world," Harmony Speaker replied honestly. "Most civilizations arise on gentle planets with stable climates and few predators. Your Earth is a nightmare by our standards. Extreme weather, tectonic activity, dangerous fauna, high gravity. You should not exist, yet you do. That makes you dangerous," Tae-sung spoke up. "Dangerous to whom?" "We helped the Velen. We could have ignored their distress call." "Yes, and that is why we are here now," the alien said. "You could have been conquerors. Your military capability is extraordinary. You destroyed a Krathul fleet with minimal losses. You could use that power to dominate others, but instead you used it to protect. That is rare. That is valuable." The Morvain paused, choosing words carefully. "The galaxy is vast, and not all species are peaceful. The Krathul are not unique. There are others like them. Predators who see intelligent life as prey. The Galactic Council has limited military capability. We can defend ourselves, but we struggle to protect others. We need someone willing and able to fight." "You want us to be your military?" Hyojin said slowly. "No," Harmony Speaker corrected.